The moment I picked up the velvet box that held the wedding ring, I immediately noticed its lightness and felt something was off. Perhaps deep down, I had a premonition of what was about to unfold. My name is Linda Ford. I am 28 years old and work as an analyst at an investment bank. 5 months ago, my longtime boyfriend, Anthony Reynolds, proposed to me. As our wedding day approached, it had become my daily routine to admire my wedding ring each morning. Anthony's parents, who are well-known tycoons in the finance industry, chose this special ring as a gift for their son's fiancée. The moment I opened the box, my heart nearly stopped. It was empty. The ring that should have been sparkling in the morning light was not there. "Mom," I shouted as I raced down the stairs. "Have you seen my ring? Did you move it?" My mother, who was sipping coffee in the kitchen, slowly looked up. Her fingers, perfectly manicured, were wrapped around her favorite mug. She had always been a perfectionist and had imposed those values on us, her daughters. "What do you mean?" she frowned. "Isn't it in your room?" "You've been so busy with the wedding preparations, maybe you just forgot where you put it." "The box is empty," I said, my hands trembling as I presented the velvet case. "It's always been right here." Without even looking at the box, my mother replied, "You're getting messier, aren't you? With all the wedding stuff on your mind." Just then, I heard my sister Catherine's laughter coming from the backyard. At 23, she had dropped out of university and since then had been leisurely spending her days at home, not working. I looked out the window. There was Catherine, sunbathing and fiddling with her smartphone. "Catherine." I burst out into the backyard. The screen door slammed loudly behind me. "Do you know anything about my ring?" She turned around. "Oh, hey Linda," Catherine said, her face breaking into the smug smile she'd had since we were children. "What's going on? What's the rush? Do you know where my wedding ring is?" "Where?" "I don't know. It's gone. It's nowhere to be found." "Really? Are you sure you checked properly?" "Oh, I remember now. I needed to pay off some debts, so I pawned off your ring to buy one with Michael for ourselves. I got a pretty good price for it. Anthony can buy you a better one." I was stunned by her unexpected confession. Our relationship as sisters had always been like this. Catherine, the youngest, was spoiled by our parents and got whatever she wanted through others. In contrast, as the eldest, I was always held to high standards and had to earn everything through my own efforts. It had been like this since we were little. When Catherine and I made the same mistakes, I was the only one who got scolded. "Because you're the older sister." I despised those words. When Catherine was born, I was 5 years old. Our parents treated her as something special, and I was always relegated to a supporting role. Even if I excelled academically or won awards in extracurricular activities, my parents' attention was always directed towards Catherine. In high school, I consistently maintained top grades. I had a scholarship lined up, and a dream of working in the finance sector was within reach. Meanwhile, Catherine's grades were poor, and she showed no interest in extracurricular activities. Yet our parents continued to say, "She has her own strengths." After starting university on a scholarship, I began an independent life. I worked part-time on weekends and gained internship experience. That's where I met Anthony. He was a junior executive training at his father's company, and he highly valued my analytical skills. Meanwhile, Catherine dropped out of the local university shortly after enrolling. "The university just isn't for me," she said, and started working part-time at a clothing store. As my relationship with Anthony deepened, his family warmly welcomed me. Anthony's mother, especially, trusted me to be a great partner to support her son. The ring Anthony's parents chose for me was also imbued with such sentiments. "Don't say such ridiculous things." I stepped forward and glared at Catherine. "Where is my wedding ring?" "It's a precious ring specially chosen by Anthony's parents." "Give it back to me right now." "I've already sold it, so I don't have it anymore." "I'm planning to get married to my handsome boyfriend eventually. so I used it to pay off debts and to fund our own wedding ring. Catherine is currently infatuated with her boyfriend, sparing no expense on beauty treatments and high-end brands to become his ideal woman. Whether it's genuine love or she's just being used is honestly unclear. "Linda, what are you yelling about?" It was my father's voice. He was standing at the back door. Behind him, my mother wore a worried expression. "Catherine stole my wedding ring and sold it without permission," I said. "No, Dad, that's not it." Catherine's lower lip trembled. Her knack for acting hadn't changed since she was a child. My mother stepped forward, placing her hand on my arm. "Catherine is your sister. Why would you say such awful things?" She had her reasons. She was being chased by debt collectors. "So how does that give her the right to steal and sell my wedding ring? Are you serious?" "It's my ring. You think I can just stay quiet after being told she stole and sold it?" I shook off my mother's hand. My voice was trembling with anger. "Just buy a new ring," my father said with exasperation. "That's absurd. That ring is very special, and it's irreplaceable." I stared at my parents. "Besides, this is a crime." My voice echoed through the garden. "Oh, honey," my mother's voice carried that condescending tone I despised. "I understand you're upset. But don't blame Catherine so harshly. Everyone makes mistakes, don't they? Why can't you forgive her just this once?" I looked at the three of them. My mother's disdainful expression, my father's awkward avoidance of eye contact, and Catherine's smug smirk. For 25 years, they had always favored Catherine and protected her. I hadn't expected it to this extent. At that moment, something inside me solidified. A lifetime of patience crystallized into a resolution that settled in my heart. "I understand," I said quietly. "If that's how you feel, I have my own plans. You better get ready." I heard my parents calling my name from behind, but I didn't look back as I entered the house. They had no idea what was about to happen. I quickly packed the essentials and headed to my best friend Maggie's apartment. I spent the night at Maggie's place. Maggie and I met in a bookkeeping club at university. She's a sharp-witted and outspoken woman, a skilled trader working on Wall Street. Though our personalities are opposites, we complement each other perfectly. How did it come to this? Maggie handed me a glass of wine as we looked out over the Manhattan skyline from her apartment. "I don't know." I took the trembling glass of wine. "Why does it have to be like this, even though we're family?" "Linda." Maggie looked into my eyes with a serious expression. "You've always sacrificed yourself for your family, but this situation cannot be overlooked. This isn't just a sibling fight. It's a serious crime." Maggie began to calmly analyze the situation. "First, let's get the facts straight. This is a clear case of theft. The ring was bought by Anthony's parents. That means the Reynolds family's reputation is also involved." "Yes, but what should I do?" "It's necessary to set things right because we're family." Maggie gripped my hand firmly. "If you overlook this incident, Catherine will repeat the same behavior. That benefits no one." We talked until late into the night. Maggie not only explained the legal aspects in detail but also patiently listened to my emotional venting. "Do you remember? In university, you covered for my investment mistake." Maggie reminisced. "You scolded me harshly then, but afterwards you helped me find a solution. It's the same with this situation with Catherine. Sometimes tough love is necessary." Maggie's words gradually cleared my doubts. Her presence was a great support during this difficult time. "Hey," Maggie said as she topped up our wine, "don't you think this situation has revealed your parents' true nature? They've coddled Catherine and placed excessive expectations on you. Is that really love?" Those words articulated a question that had long lingered in my heart. Maggie has always provided me with perspectives I hadn't noticed. However, Anthony's parents are different. Maggie continued. "They recognize and trust your worth. You must address this situation properly so as to not betray that trust." Maggie's advice was always spot on. It was because of her presence that I was able to make the right decisions. The next morning, I drove back to my parents' house with a clear purpose. Everyone was gathered in the kitchen, as if nothing had happened. "Oh, good," my mother said as she slid a plate of pancakes onto the counter. "Linda, we were worried about you." Seeing that I remained standing, it was clear they expected me to have calmed down and to handle things smoothly, as usual. Catherine was sitting at the table. Just as I frowned, my father started, "Dear Linda, we've been discussing and thinking." "No," I interrupted him. "You don't need to think about anything. That ring is mine, and Catherine stole it, and then sold it. She needs to return it to me immediately." Actually, my mother straightened up. "We'll buy you a new ring. A better one. That way everyone can be happy, right?" I stared at her in disbelief. "Everyone can be happy? My sister stole my precious ring from me, and you're okay with that?" "It's not like that." "But you're the older sister, right? Can't you forgive a small mistake?" My heart pounded fiercely. I slowly took out my smartphone. It was on speaker mode and a call was active. "Mr. Ford, what exactly is going on?" A male voice came through the phone. Is that James Reynolds?" My parents looked shocked, as if the blood had drained from their faces. The caller was Anthony's father, James Reynolds. He's a businessman with over 30 years of experience. He owns multiple companies and his wealth is immense. Before returning home, I had consulted him over the phone and secretly slipped the still active smartphone into my pocket on speaker mode. I continued speaking while maintaining eye contact with Catherine. "I'm sorry to disturb you, Mr. Reynolds. Could you please explain the situation?" "Yes. As you've just heard, my sister stole the wedding ring you bought for me and sold it to pay off her debts." I kept the phone on speaker mode, still looking directly at Catherine. "Please continue." "When my parents learned the truth, they reproached me, arguing that everyone makes mistakes. Why can't you forgive just one mistake?" they asked. They seemed sweaty and panicked. "I see. The situation seems more serious than I thought." "Mr. Reynolds," my mother managed to say, "we're really sorry to Linda." But Catherine was in a tough situation. It was a hard decision for her. "We will buy Linda a new ring ourselves." Catherine then added, "Mr. Reynolds, I'm really sorry, but Linda has a perfect job and a perfect life. She can get another ring. That's unacceptable." "That's enough." James' voice was calm, but there was a hint of anger in it. The next day, our family sat in the Reynolds' study, facing Anthony's parents. Anthony, having heard the situation from me, was also present. The Reynolds' study was filled with solid furniture and historic paintings. James Reynolds, a wealthy businessman with over 30 years on Wall Street, was visibly angry. "The ring we bought for Linda isn't just any piece of jewelry." His voice was low yet forceful. Elizabeth, Anthony's mother, said tearfully, "That ring was specially chosen as a symbol of welcoming Linda into our family. It represents our feelings." Seeing the expressions of my parents and Catherine, it seemed they finally realized the gravity of what they had done. Catherine's face was pale, and she couldn't raise her head. "I'm sorry. My daughter has done something terrible." My father said those words with all the effort he could muster. Tears filled my mother's eyes as she repeatedly apologized, desperate and shaken. The study was dominated by a heavy, oppressive atmosphere. Amidst this tension, Anthony stood up decisively. He stood next to his father, James, and promised, "I will find it and get it back." Anthony himself was a businessman who had successfully led an investment company at a young age. His determination to protect his family's honor was evident in his eyes. "Check every pawnshop," Anthony's father commanded. "Don't worry about the costs. It's for the family's honor." The next few days began with us going on a journey from Manhattan to Brooklyn, visiting each pawnshop one by one. From high-end stores to small shops, I continued to show photos. "Have you seen a ring like this? has a young woman brought in a ring with these features. On the third day, an elderly shop owner in Brooklyn showed us his shop's surveillance footage. This woman brought it in a few days ago. The footage clearly showed Catherine. She had sold the ring and received a substantial amount of cash. It hasn't been cashed out yet, so it should still be in the store, the shopkeeper explained, retrieving the ring from the back. From the woman's uneasy demeanor, I sensed something was off. I'm glad I held off on cashing it. Anthony immediately verified the ring. It's undeniable. This is it. Thank goodness. I'm so relieved. Overwhelmed with relief, I couldn't help but cry. We've successfully retrieved the ring. I don't even know how to thank you enough, I said gratefully. With the ring in hand, I went to the Reynolds' house and presented it to Anthony's parents. His mother silently hugged me, while his father sighed deeply in relief. We will handle this matter, including taking legal steps, his father stated firmly. Linda, you are a member of our family. Compromise is not an option when it comes to protecting our honor. I nodded in agreement. Through this experience, I felt even more strongly the deep love embedded within their sternness. For them, the ring was not just an ornament, but a symbol of family bonds and trust. We began the process of filing a criminal complaint at the police station. While drafting the report on Catherine's theft, the detective reviewed the surveillance footage. There is clear evidence here, the detective noted. The pawnshop transaction footage is undeniable, and we've identified the ring. My parents rushed to the police station. My mother broke down crying, and my father looked pale as death. Please, drop the charges, my mother pleaded. It's too late, I said to them quietly. This is a crime. 2 days later, Catherine was released. A meeting with lawyers was arranged, and both families discussed the matter. The expressions on my parents' and Catherine's faces were more serious than I had ever seen. We were wrong, my father admitted quietly. I shifted my gaze from my father to Catherine and suggested, let's discuss and explore a way to settle this. The terms of the settlement we proposed were clear. Catherine would fully repay the amount used to buy back the ring, and she would cease all contact with me and my family. Eventually, my parents accepted these terms and Catherine agreed as well. After a heavy silence, my father spoke. We accept. This was a failure in our upbringing, he acknowledged. My mother, tears brimming in her eyes, nodded. Linda, we have hurt you for years. I'm truly sorry, she said. Her hand trembled slightly as she signed the settlement document. This marked the beginning of a new chapter for our family. Catherine, tell me one thing. How did it come to this? Because you were perfect. Catherine answered with a bitter expression. You could do everything, and you were excellent. In contrast, I always felt inferior. I wanted to affirm my worth by depending on Mom and Dad, but I leaned on them too much. I desperately needed money. The debt collectors were after me every day. Hearing this, I felt a mix of complex emotions. Indeed, I had always tried to be the good child. I strove to meet my parents' expectations and achieve societal success. But was that truly the life I wanted? When the settlement was finalized and I decided to cut off contact with Catherine, a profound emptiness spread within me. Can the bonds of family really be severed so easily? Afterward, my parents resolved to encourage Catherine to become independent, pushing her to live on her own. She is currently looking for an apartment in preparation for this new chapter. Months later, just 1 week before my wedding to Anthony, my mother unexpectedly visited my apartment. Linda, can we talk for a moment, she asked, her usual assertive tone replaced by a more subdued demeanor. I've been thinking a lot about Catherine, she began quietly. We've indulged her too much, always accepting her excuses and never holding her accountable. And with you, we've been too harsh and unfair on you. Mom, we made a significant mistake with the ring incident. Trying to cover up our daughter's crime was the lowest act as parents, she admitted, tears glistening in her eyes. But you did the right thing. Taking legal action made Catherine face reality. which ultimately benefited her. That evening, I received a call from my father. "Linda, may I attend the wedding?" His voice was unusually hesitant. Our relationship had been awkward since the ring incident. "Yes, Dad. Anthony would be happy for you to come, too," I replied. "Thank you," he paused before continuing. "I've been taking dance lessons. I don't want to ruin the father-daughter dance." His words made me smile involuntarily. Imagining my always dignified father learning to dance for me warmed my heart. My decision to forgive my parents was influenced by their sincere efforts. Catherine had received $20,000 from the pawn shop. To make amends, my parents decided to use part of their retirement funds to repay this amount. "This is also our way of making amends for everything else we've done wrongly to you," my father had said. The repayment from Catherine was proceeding smoothly. My father checked the payments at the bank every month, his sense of responsibility to the family evident. Anthony's parents, without ever mentioning the incident with the ring, wholeheartedly celebrated our new beginning. His mother, especially, meticulously helped with everything from choosing the dress to decorating the venue. "You are our pride," she told me on the final fitting day. "I know you will make Anthony happy. But more importantly, I want you to cherish your own happiness," she said, a sentiment no one had ever expressed to me before. My own happiness. What was that exactly? On the morning of the wedding, I greeted the day with a surprisingly calm spirit. While the makeup artist applied the final touches, I studied my reflection in the mirror. "Linda," a knock on the door interrupted my thoughts. It was my mother. "Come in," I invited her. She teared up seeing me in my white dress. "You look perfect," she murmured. "Mom, look at this," I said, picking up an envelope from the dresser. "It's a letter from Catherine." Since the incident, I hadn't seen Catherine, adhering to the terms of our settlement, which also included no contact. Occasionally, I felt a pang of loneliness, a contradiction I was fully aware of. Despite the years of distress caused by her actions and the unjust treatment by our parents, recalling Catherine's words of anguish that day stirred complex emotions within me. "Have you opened it?" my mother asked softly. "Not yet," I replied, caressing the envelope gently. "But I don't think I need to open it now." Instead, I stood up and took her hand. "Today is a day for new beginnings. Let's leave the past behind and look forward." She nodded silently and embraced me. In the chapel, Anthony awaited me with a gentle smile. My father, nervous yet composed, took my arm and we began walking down the aisle. "Don't be nervous, Dad," I whispered softly. "Show me the results of those lessons," I teased. My father gave a small smile. As we exchanged vows and rings, a moment of hesitation appeared when Anthony slipped the ring onto my finger. But as his warm hand enveloped mine and the ring settled quietly, it felt as if everything returned to its rightful place. During the father-daughter dance at the reception, my father led me with slightly awkward, yet earnest steps. "Linda," he whispered as the song was ending. "Thank you." "For what?" "For teaching me to live strongly and honestly." That night, after the party ended and I was alone in my hotel room, I finally opened Catherine's letter. "To my big sister, I won't ask for your forgiveness. I don't deserve to. But I needed to tell you that your decision was right. When you said you would press charges, I was filled with anger and resentment. But now I understand. It was the wake-up call I needed. I'm currently in counseling. I've also started repaying my debts. For the first time, I'm trying to solve my problems on my own, without relying on our parents. This might be the first time I'm truly taking responsibility for my actions. I hope you find happiness. I truly wish that for you. From the bottom of my heart, Catherine." A new chapter for our family was about to begin. By the way, it seems Catherine has broken up with that boyfriend. I think it's for the best. Sometimes the deepest wounds give rise to the most beautiful lessons. And sometimes, to reclaim what was lost, you have to let go of everything. That was the true brilliance I learned from the ring.